Vallejo everyone, this is Blumage, and in this video I'm going to show you how I sculpted the Camerupt from Pokemon. Like usual, this video is a recording from my live stream on Twitch, so not everything might be optimally displayed. In this video I took two super dumb approaches, so learn from my errors. The first one was not to print a scaled picture of the Camerupt, so it came out way bigger than it was supposed to be. The second one was that I, in a state of brain absence, used a different way to assemble the armature. I did the spine separated from the legs, which led to some instability, making the process harder than necessary. Otherwise, I started out covering the armature in aluminium foil to build up that super big volume as always. Due to its sheer size, that took way longer than normal. Then it was time to spend almost a whole package of clay on this monstrum. Well, it's cow-sized, so I guess it's fine if it's big. Due to not having a scaled reference, it also took a bit of back and forth to figure out the right proportions. I decided to tackle the hat separately, so I went with smoothing the basic body first. Once I had the proportions and the body down, I refined the hooves, adding some more clay to them and giving them the split in the middle. To give the volcanoes more support later, I put some wire in the middle of where they would later be and put some support clay around them. After the body was baked, I clipped down the volcano's armature, stuffed it with foil as always, and modeled the volcanoes on it. For the sharp edges, I used my scalpel to scrape the clay away and then refine the shape with my normal tool. The rocks around the volcanoes were made of small clay balls that I partly pressed and cut into their shape. I fixed them to the volcanoes with clay glue, and for the bigger ones with a short piece of wire. When I was satisfied with the volcanoes, I went on to the fur on the hooves and spent about 1.5 hours doing something that didn't work well and that I scrapped in the end, so fast forward to what worked. Okay, let's be honest, fast forward to a bit further because I can't friggin' find the part when I made the fur tufts. So to break it down, I used Cosclay that I formed into the tufts and blended out as well as I could with the rest of the body. For blending, I used my 69% alcohol as usual. Then I started on the head. Again, I wrapped it in foil and then in clay. I had a bit of difficulty blending the clay to the already baked neck, so I used Beast Booty and its sticky attributes to connect the Sculpey to its baked counterpart. For the details on the head, I sketched in the fringe and the eyes of the Camerupt into the clay. I also put up stand-in fur and ears to check the size I needed them to be. Then it was adding and refining all the head parts. The fringe, a small armature for the weird hair strands to give them some additional support, and also adding some eyelids and the hair strands, of course. Finally, I also added and blended the ears, which basically finished the Camerupt itself. As you know, I always try to make a fitting base for my sculptures, so the Camerupt was to stand on a little volcano. Normally, I put them on small wooden plates, but alas, the Camerupt was too big for them. Remember, I always print a scale reference, so you know it fits. So I had to widen the base to make it big enough. Thus, I wrapped a lot of foil around the plates before I wrapped them in clay. I put up a little greater edge, blended it out and added some texture to it. Also for the inside, I tried to make it clear that there was a difference between lava and a volcano, so I created an edge between both. To add more liveliness, if you could say so, I added some little rocks here and there, just like the ones around the Camerupt's volcano, and also added a little lava stream that runs out of the volcano. Adding some bits and bobs to crack, the sculpt is finished. On to painting. I started out with painting the volcanoes in the same color that the clay is. Well, before I tackled the dull volcanoes again, it was time to paint the whole thing orange, which with its size took me almost a full stream. Let's face it, painting the Camerupt itself wasn't the big painting part. That was actually its volcano that I lovingly call its hot tub. This time I chose a darker grey with some brown and blue tints. Then I painted the lava in hot orange and later put some shading in red and highlighting in yellow on it so it looked like lively, comic-y lava. At this point the hot tub looked like a little pizza with mozzarella cheese. Because I'm a big weep, I also highlighted everything with sparkles. After the colors are set where they should be, I dry brushed the volcano itself to bring out more of the structure. Lastly, I decided that the Camerupt's volcanoes are too light and have too little contrast, so here I went and darkened them up with a bit more at the base, trying to get a slight gradient to the top. Also, instead of dry brushing the sharp edges, I contoured them with a small brush since the angles of the edges are rather wide and the dry brushing didn't give me the nice defined look that I wanted. And here it is, after all the arrows, it's the Camerupt, aka the cow mel in all its glory.